Hi, everybody. This is Marlene with Miami Ghost Chronicles, Stories of the Supernatural. How you all doing today? And today I have a gentleman by the name of Michael Rivers, which is in reality his pen name. His real name is M.D. Bogham, and besides being an author of several books, some of them, of course, involving the paranormal, he's also been a paranormal investigator back since the 70s. I think before they even used the term paranormal investigators. Um, and he took up that pen name of Michael Rivers because of his Cherokee heritage, which prompted him to honor his great grandfather and write under that surname. He grew up near the Outer Banks of North Carolina. His love of the sea and all it has to offer was the driving force of his first novel, The Black Witch. And as a child, he became aware of the supernatural world due to several experiences, which I'm going to ask him about, of course. And he's a recognized authority as a paranormal investigator with more than 30 years of research, teaching classes, and giving speeches. And he provides his readers with some of his experiences woven into supernatural thrillers. He is the lead investigator for the Smoky Mountain Ghost Trackers. And he's been writing since 1993. And he has several books, several of them which are bestsellers on Amazon. Uh, his bestseller, Verlige, was voted Supernatural Book of 2012, and most recently, he won the first place runner-up in Literary Fiction Award of 2014. Uh, and his books have been made the Kindle Top 100 paid list several times, and have hit number one in Supernatural. He's also a United States Marine veteran. He served during Vietnam, and his passions in life are his wife, family, his boxer Delilah, which he was already telling me all about, affectionately known as Dee Dee, and the great outdoors. And he currently resides in Chicago. So, how are you doing today, Michael?
I'm doing very well, Marlene. How are you?
It good. It's a good day. It's a good day here. And I was laughing to myself when I was thinking of what we were talking about your boxer Delilah. you know, there she is, huh? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I won't put out Dee Dee's secrets. We'll keep them between us. But anyway, Michael, I'm gonna ask you what I ask all my guests, which is, and I know, there's obviously you had some type of experiences as a child growing up, right?
Yes, I did. Yes, a lot, a lot.
And what
Um,
was it? Because of where you lived?
yeah, I spent a lot of time at my grandmother's house, which was across the yard from my parents' house,
Mm-hmm.
and even before then, I was there quite a bit. But the house was extremely active, paranormally speaking. And to give you a good example, um, we had a string that ran from the bottom of the hallway at the bottom of the stairs to the light, and it was a full string light. Now, uh, another string ran from there up to the landing of the second floor.
Okay.
So when you were coming out of a bedroom from upstairs, once you got to the landing, you cut the light off. Then you came downstairs, you cut the other light off, and then you
Okay.
went to the main part of the house. But normally you did not get that far because as soon as it got dark, there was six different locks on that door leading into the main part of the house.
Really?
Yes, not only that, but you had the six lock. Plus, she also put a chair under the door handle.
Okay, and this is coming from from the upstairs, I'm sorry, into the main part of the house is what you're saying?
Correct.
Oh,
Correct. Now, if you were coming out and you turned that light off, you
uh-huh.
could you could actually feel somebody behind you.
Oh,
Now, for a while there, I thought it was my imagination,
okay.
but as a child, when even the grown-ups tell you it's there,
Okay,
you know
that's right there.
something's good. Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, the downstairs, there was one bedroom downstairs off to the right if you were coming in the front door.
Okay.
That bedroom stayed ice cold all the time, even in the summer,
Hmm.
and never could sleep in it. Never could. And the one upstairs, right over it, um, you'd have nightmares. Terrible. Even adults had nightmares. Terrible.
Wow.
Uh, we had an old rocking chair in there. Now, the only way you could make this chair rock was to physically put your hand on it
Uh
and move it.
huh.
Now, it was sitting on top of a false Persian rug in
Okay.
front of an old ironstead bed. Now, it is amazing when you hear something upstairs. There's no one in the house but you.
Oh my God.
So you go upstairs, the rug is flipped back from under the chair, and the chair is finishing rocking.
Oh.
You could hear walking upstairs when there was nobody in the house. Now, also keep in mind that every one of the beds were the old style beds where you had like 2 feet of space beneath them.
Mm-hmm.
So you could see under them.
Exactly.
There was only one closet in the entire house, and that was beneath the stairs.
Wow.
And we were told never go in there.
You were.
Yeah. And
And did you ever hear why? Or did you ever find out why?
well, I'm naturally being curious. I
Yes.
checked it out, and it was the creepiest feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a very uneasy feeling. Now, the most uh, extensive case of paranormal activity I've run into all these years, and this is even after I've seen 4 full body apparitions in
Mm-hmm.
my career.
Okay.
But this particular house, and what I'm going to describe to you, has never been heard downstairs but once,
Okay.
but it's always heard upstairs. Now, what you would hear, say you'd be in the bedroom asleep, you know, and that would be the left-hand bedroom
Okay.
there. You would hear a hurricane force wind. Yes, it, it would go to the end of the hallway upstairs, and then you had 3 steps landing, and then the steps that went downstairs.
Uh-huh.
Then it would sound like somebody taking almost like a wrecking ball.
Wow.
And you got 3 steps, hit the landing, and then you'd hear it go all the way down to the bottom of the stairs.
Oh my
From
God.
that point, you heard footsteps, just as plain as being next to them, go from the bottom of the stairs around the side into that closet that we were talking about.
The one under the stairs.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, my mother and father were sleeping up there in that same room one weekend. My uncle and his wife were sleeping in the downstairs bedroom.
Oh.
And my dad, he got irritated fairly easy, you know. But then him and my mother were laying there in bed, and all of a sudden, big old gray cat jumps up on the bed and just runs right across my dad's chest. He gets up and he's yelling and stuff, you know. But the next morning, he's sitting there at breakfast, and my uncle's name was, they called him Bud. His name was Council, but they called him Bud.
Uh-huh.
He looks at Bud and he says, "Bud, what'd I tell you about that damn cat?"
Oh my God.
He says, "What do you mean?" he says, I told you to keep that cat away from me. He says, the cat's not here. It's in Norfolk, Virginia.
Oh my God. You're kidding. That was, what, is that when they changed the conversation? Or what did you
Uh,
get?
my mother said that my dad's face dropped like somebody had smacked him.
Oh my. He must have been like, and that was the, and let me ask you, did he only have that experience with a cat that one time that your uncle was there? Or did it ever happen other times?
That's the only time it happened with the cat.
Because I'm wondering if it was a traveling ghost that came with your uncle.
Now, we don't know, but the after my grandfather after my grandmother died, my grandfather used to go stay with his daughter in Virginia Beach in the wintertime.
Okay.
I would stay at the house, what we call the big house,
Okay.
affectionately known as the White House, because it was a big white house, so we call it the White House,
Hey.
But anyway, um, I went ahead and locked the doors just like they normally did
Okay.
because that's the way you grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as I told you, there were 6 locks on that door.
Yes.
They had turned the bathroom. They had made another bathroom on the porch that
Okay.
attached to the house. So you'd have one they could go in and out from what they call the sitting room, which
Okay.
was to the kitchen. They had 3 locks on that door, and they had 5 more on the back door. So it's
Oh,
literally a straight shot from the bedroom to the sitting room to the kitchen.
right.
You can see straight down.
Okay.
So I go to bed that night. I'm laying there and I go to sleep. Something wakes me up. I got up. I walked down. I don't see anything. I come back and then I realize the doors were unlocked.
All the locks?
Every one of them. So I locked back. I said, well, maybe if somebody came in, they're gone now because I got up. So I
Uh-huh.
locked back. I went back to bed. This happened one more time. So
Oh,
on this time, I put the chair under the door handle, relocked them, went back to bed, fell back asleep almost immediately. But when I woke up the 3rd time, when I looked down, you could see the moonlight coming in the windows in the kitchen. Nowhere else, just kitchen.
uh-huh.
And it was the strangest blue light for moonlight I had seen, but I figured it was moonlight.
Okay.
I looked, the chair is across the room.
Oh.
The,
Oh.
not only are the doors unlocked, but all 3 of them are open.
Somebody was trying to make a point. You must have, what did you do? Did you go back to sleep?
No,
I know I wouldn't be able to
I
do.
didn't put my, I didn't bother to put my pants on. I grabbed my pants, I hauled out the door, went
Yeah.
across the yard, and I knocked on my mother and father's bedroom window and said, let me in.
I'm telling you, I would be like, I'm going to go sleep anywhere except in there.
So my dad asked me, he said, I told him what happened. He just kind of grunted and he says, what, did you lock the back door? I said, no, sir, and I'm not going back over there tonight.
And it's like, it's going to stay open. It's going to stay open anyway, whether I lock it or not. So
But he
did you,
didn't go in
how old was that house?
a little over 100 years.
Okay. And did you, how long was your family living there that they had all these things going on?
My family bought it new. It was only 4 months old when they bought it.
Wow. So I was going to say, who are the suspects in this?
Yeah, it was. Okay, I do know on the history of the house.
Okay.
Um, the road that ran in front of it, which is now called North Street,
Okay.
used to be an old stagecoach road.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. And the man that actually built the house never moved in it. My grandfather came back from World War One.
Mm-hmm.
He actually bought it. They were renting it before, and he actually bought it.
Okay.
So, and my dad, he was talking about he could remember to show you how small he was. He could remember sitting in my grandfather's World War One helmet and spinning around like a top.
Wow. Okay. So he was a little boy.
Yeah, yeah. But there had been several deaths in the house, and grandma used to take in boarders, as they
Okay.
used to call it,
Yes.
boarders. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
one of those died in there.
Can you imagine? Wow. But that happens.
Yeah, but there was, uh, you know yourself, if you've got two rooms
Mm-hmm.
and one door is leading to another room, you have the lights on in one room, it always bleeds over into the next room.
Yes.
Not in that house.
No. It was
No.
always just that.
When it got to the doorway, boom, it stopped. It did not bleed over.
And why did they have so many locks? Or was it because I was thinking, okay, locks usually thinking was there something out there that they didn't want besides, strangers or somebody trying to break in? Why that had that many locks?
Well, my grandmother was extremely spiritual, so to speak.
Okay.
She knew things that other people didn't know. I know that
Okay.
may sound strange,
Oh
but
no.
anyway, when I questioned why there were so many locks on the door, the first thing I was told was, well, if you're so bold, you stay up there tonight.
Ooh. That was okay.
Yeah. And so later on, I asked again, and she says, because there's things here that don't concern you.
Okay. And you're like, makes you
But
wonder though now what
yeah,
it because obviously it was almost like it's better that you don't know what it
now that
is.
I understand more about the paranormal world,
Uh-huh.
I can understand where they were coming from.
Sure.
Uh, my grandfather was a very stoic man. He said very little. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't talk to other people hardly any. He talked to me a lot.
Okay.
Uh, my grandmother, to give you a good example of what she was like, I had been gone for 2 years. Nobody knew where I was or anything else. I hit Kentucky on the way home.
Okay.
I surprise everybody. Hey, Mike's home.
Uh-huh.
She calls up. She calls up my parents that morning and asks my dad to go to the store and get a ham because I'm going to be home today.
Oh, she was on the money, huh?
Yeah, he says we don't know where he is. He heard anything, so why not just wait till he does get here? She said, nope, he's going to be here. He's going to be here at such and such a time. I won't be ready.
Wow.
She was almost dead on the money. I was there within 10 minutes of when she said it would be. So
I can imagine. I'm sure she must have done that quite a few times. Okay, that it was like in the end I'm sure they got her the ham and anything else she wanted because
yeah, yeah. But she was somebody you did not try to fool because she already knew.
she would catch you in it, right?
Oh God, yeah. Even before you did it.
It's like yeah. Yeah, I know that type of grandmother. Yeah, I had one like that. It was like
Yeah,
forget it. She's gonna bust you in it. Like when you're coming out, she's on her way back, and I
yeah.
know the type.
That's true.
So you had these experiences. Did you ever see an apparition there, or was it just strictly the you know, believe me, which the auditory alone and what you're telling me, the temperature is more than enough. But did you
Yeah,
ever actually see anything?
yeah.
What did you see?
Uh, well, uh, one night I was there, and I had laid down to go to sleep, and now keep in mind I was not doing drugs, I was not drinking
Okay.
or any of those things. I was not overly tired, but I kind of sat up in bed because something did not feel right.
All right.
Now I had my window open, which was over the porch,
Okay.
so I'm sitting there and I'm waiting, and the more I wait, the more a feeling of almost like doom
Wow.
crosses up. Well, there was these old string pull lights all over the house.
Uh huh.
I look up, and here comes this rat peeping down the wire. I saw his nose first, and then he comes completely out. Now I know this is not possible because this hole is not big enough for this size rat.
Okay. You're right. You're like,
Yeah. So he goes back up, and I got out of bed. I looked at the light, nothing there. I said, oh, geez, man, I must be really worn out or something.
uh
So
huh.
I go over to the window to close the window, and I see this person coming up over the top of the porch. Now, it's a tin top porch. So being able to grasp that
You had to
tin,
be 10 feet to be able to.
yeah, not only that, but it's slick. So I just looked at it and said, not tonight, buddy, and slammed the window.
Oh.
Because I'd already seen so much stuff in my time that I said, forget this, and slammed the window. So I laid back down, and about 10 minutes later, I look and I see the bedroom door open without opening, if that makes sense to you. In other words, you see another door on top of that
Mm
door,
hmm.
and you
Okay.
see it open. And my grandmother, who had been dead for years, she leans in, nods her head at me as if, okay, and then eases right back out.
Oh.
And I said, whoa.
But this is something totally different from whoever was coming over that porch roof. That's got to be one of those
Yeah,
scariest things I've heard. I would have think I've run from the room screaming. Oh.
the the person coming up on the top of that porch, I don't mind telling you, it would make your heart beat a little heavy because you're going, first off, it's not possible. Second
Yeah.
off, where did you come from?
Uh,
And third off, man, you're ugly.
and what did he did? Well, I was about to ask you, was it like a shadow, what they call shadow person, where
Oh,
it's just black and an outline, or
it
were you
was
able to actually make out features?
every single detail.
And it was a man.
It was definitely a man, long black hair. Uh, Fingers were abnormally. The face was a more gray than pale,
And what did you
and
say about his fingers?
they were abnormally long.
Oh,
Yeah, and when he smiled at me,
he
the teeth.
smiled.
Yeah, it's like a vicious type
I know. I
smile.
was gonna say.
It was. The teeth were looked like they were sharp.
Oh
You
my God. Oh
But
my God. I would have. And you went back to sleep. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, I guess maybe after a while you were already shock proof because you had been living in this house, but I don't know how you did that.
and the bedroom across the hall from there was two beds in it. If you put the bed the long way, like people used to, up
Hmm.
against the wall, you couldn't sleep in it. You'd have nightmares horribly.
Really?
But if you put it cat a corner
Uh
in
huh.
the, you could sleep on it.
Wow.
The other bed, which was up against the window, was like a twin bed. It
Okay.
would it would actually rock you to sleep.
I wonder if there was ever any structure there before that house was built, because there was so much going on there. Or you
That's
had.
that's big Civil War territory.
Okay. I was gonna say something. I was gonna say there's something. It sounds like there was something there going on that piece of land
Hmm.
before the structure was on it, because and I know you mentioned that thing about that there was a boarder that died in the house, and I said that doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna get a haunting. That has
That's right.
not at all, not at all. You
That's right.
know, but it's like wow, like it looked like there was layers of things going on there.
There was, and you'd have things to move, things to disappear, things to appear. Just like we had a silver dollar to appear on the kitchen table from
Wow,
1850,
really?
and it looked mint condition. And
Wow.
when I started to pick it up, and my grandmother smacked the back of my hand with a spatula, and she said, "That's not for you to be messing with."
And you're like, all right.
So I go, "Is it yours or granddaddy's?" Just like that, you know. She says it don't make no difference whose it is.
You're like,
So she never confirmed who it belonged to, but I never saw it again.
so yeah, she really knew what was going on. Let me ask, were you? It sounds like everybody there witnessed or some experience. But were you a target? Did you actually see or feel witness more than any other family member?
Well, my grandmother, she used to tell me, see, neither one of my sisters would sleep there. My brother, he was gone. He was in the Air Force. Um, but my grandmother used to tell me, even from early on, she'd say, "You're not like the rest of them."
Okay.
And
Okay.
she didn't give me that "you're special" or nothing like that. She
Uh
said,
huh.
"You're like the rest of them."
Well, you know what? Grandmothers sometimes have an eye for those things.
Yeah,
Sometimes more than the actual parents.
yeah.
And the reason
Uh,
why I'm asking you that is what happened, because you said that you went into the Marine Corps. What happened? Because I have a feeling you were seeing and picking up things along the way. I don't think it stopped so much when you left home.
no, no. In fact, I'll give you a good example of what I'm like,
Okay.
uh, and this is easily proved. But we went to Old South Pittsburgh Hospital for an
Okay.
investigation
Yes.
in Tennessee. The day before we went on the investigation, we pulled up into the parking lot of the hospital, and one of the investigators says, "Okay, Mike, what's going on here?" So I told him everything that was happening in the hospital.
Okay.
Boom, 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 you know. She says, "Okay, we'll find out," just like that. So the next day we go to the hospital, and the guy that's taking care of the place, he says, "Okay, let me give you a rundown of what's happening here." So Lisa, the other investigator, she says, "No, let Mike tell you," just like that. So he kind of laughs and he goes, "Okay, you tell me," just like that. So I told him, and I was 99% correct on everything.
Wow. There you go. See, you already. Let me tell you something. People like you are one of the most valuable things in a good paranormal team, just because of the ability to do that.
Well,
Okay.
I can't give you a future, but as
No, no,
far
no. I'm not talking about future. I'm talking about stuff that can sometimes cannot be captured by all these equipment and things
as
that can be
yeah.
used.
Well, it's kind of like when we went to the insane asylum in West Virginia, the Appalachian insane asylum. Uh,
Is that
we
one?
pulled,
Is that the Trans Allegheny?
yeah, Trans
Yeah.
Allegheny, yeah. Anyway, the day before we pulled up out front of the gates. We didn't go up to the building. We put out in front of the gates, and we were standing there. And we were talking about it, and I pointed out across the river, and I said, none of this is right. I said, all of this has been changed. And they kind of laughed a little bit, you know.
Okay.
So then we go up to the building the next day because we were going to take a tour before we went on the actual investigation.
Mm-hmm.
So when we pulled up in front of the building, I said what was going on, what, when, and where.
Okay.
We go inside the building. As you go in to the left, we went in there, and
Oh.
it was all it used to look like. And I had this.
Oh, because right when you go in there on either side, they have like I guess like there were receiving rooms and they have pictures. Is that what you're talking about?
Right. Yeah, they got like a little museum set up there.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but anyway, when we went and did the hunt, the investigation, we were allowed to go into the West Wing where
Okay.
other people were not.
Okay.
Sue, which was a former employee there, they had the West Wing shut down because they were doing some work back there. And that is the women's ward. Now,
Okay.
in the women's ward, a inmate had taken another one and got her on the floor and took the bedpost and drove it through her skull and killed her.
Oh,
Well, that's what kind of place it was. It was a tough place.
yeah.
But anyway, so we're in there, and the woman was telling us earlier, prior, she says the beds were situated this, and this. I said, no, ma'am. She says, you've been here before? I said, no, ma'am. I said, but the beds were blah, 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 and pointed exactly where each bed was.
Okay.
She says, well, I'll have to check on that. You know, that
Yeah.
tone?
Right. Like yeah. Uh-huh.
She checked on it, and I was right. But anyway, later on when we were investigating it, I'm in this room, big room, huge room, totally, by myself. I didn't know the rest of the team had gone literally completely out of the West Wing.
Okay.
I am hearing people in other rooms. I've got my recorder set up and stuff, and I'm sitting there, and you can get this on my website because I've got it up there for people to hear.
Mm-hmm.
That when you committed your crime, how many here were to witness it? And this jovial woman's voice goes, just one.
Oh my.
I mean,
Oh.
just me and you talking, you know? It was that clear.
And you were like, okay, all right.
Yeah. I don't get scared. I don't have any
Well, you know
fear.
what? And you think about it, and when you're doing paranormal investigations, I mean, some things can startle you. The truth is, depending on the timing on it. But that's what you're there for, also.
Yeah. Now, I do, me and my team do a lot of private investigations. In other
Mm-hmm.
words, we can't publicize them.
Absolutely, I understand.
Do it for like different states, like
Mm-hmm.
Indiana, for instance. We did one in Indiana at this particular place is really old.
Okay.
And we caught some evidence in there that was just amazing. But one of the biggest pieces of evidence that we caught was now we had our mag light completely turned off.
Okay.
It was not on where you could touch it and it would blink or anything like that. It was completely off.
Okay.
It was laying on top of an old nail keg, and we have this on video. We asked it questions. Now, what we wound up with was the daughter of the owner and builder of this particular place.
Okay.
As a child, she had been abused. And her and the father both were spirits that was still there, and the mother too.
Oh wow.
Because I've got evidence of all three. But now when we spoke with the manager of the curator of the place,
Okay.
we told her what we had, the look of total shock was pretty incredible because it was a secret that they did not want anybody to know. But
Oh, wow.
it's in their archives. But they swore nobody knows that but those two people.
Can you imagine and talk about, talk about validation? Think about it.
Yeah.
Here you are, you have no access whatsoever to any of their archives or whatever. And
Uh-huh.
like you said, they had made a point of keeping it under wraps for whatever reason, because maybe they didn't, it's something sensitive.
I have a
And
I have a 3/4 two pictures of a 3/4 reflection of the man who built the place.
uh huh.
Black suit, white shirt, you can see his face, everything, leaning out into the window on the third floor, outside of the third floor window. There's no
Wow.
way you can be there, especially dressed like that. And
Yes.
that attic is empty.
Okay. So you knew, okay, I
There-
you must have and and what, you didn't see that though till you got back.
no, you could not see it as you were taking the pictures and stuff. You could not see it.
You couldn't see it. It was
No,
only after the fact.
yeah. Now another thing that was purely amazing, like you take photos 5 in succession. So you
Okay.
have some backup there. You know what's happening to begin with. You know what happened when it ended.
Right.
We're downstairs. My wife, she investigates with me. Love
Okay.
that woman. Boy, she's got some brass now. But she was standing 3 feet from the window.
Okay.
Now, there's a tree outside of the window in the picture, in all 5 of the pictures. That tree was cut down 50 years ago.
What?
But see, that's not the best part. The best part is over behind that tree is where the original owner's house was, his home. We have a
Wow.
figure. We have a figure coming across the road. In each picture, it comes across the road right on up till it gets to the window next to where my wife is standing. Like I said, she's 3 feet from the window. And from the midsection up, it is the perfect image of a little girl.
Wow. And let me, did she die as a child or
Yeah. Mhm. Yes, she did.
hmm, that's incredible.
Now, only during the daytime, when I went in there to look around, so I wouldn't be stumbling all over everything. They got a museum on the second floor,
Okay.
and it's a semi-museum on the first floor. So I go up on the second floor, and I'm taking pictures. Well, I have a picture, and this is a cabinet with glass-fronted cabinet, like books and things in it.
Uh-huh.
Now, you do have mannequins and things in there, and they're dressed a certain way.
Okay.
The old sewing mannequins, the ones.
Yes.
Okay, well, I take the picture of this old timey bed, but it's got an American flag bedspread on it. The reflection of a woman is in the window of the bookcase. She's got on the tight bodice dress from the 1800s with the high collar and everything.
Uh-huh. Yes.
There's nothing like that in there.
Oh.
So what I do is I take this picture because this is before I have signed any papers. I
Uh,
put it on the internet. Amazing, eh, people? Blah, blah, blah.
uh-huh.
So I get 2 people to write me back and they go, well, did you see what else is in the picture? I said, what do you mean? So I look at the picture again. Now there's a oval framed picture over the bed kind of to the right. In other words, in between the bookcase and the bed.
Okay.
there's the reflection of, in this glass case that was behind me over against the wall, somebody standing in front of that case. I was so up there.
And it's like when you saw, you must have, and I've heard of that. You know what, Michael? I've heard of people that sometimes it's not so much what's there, it's who's behind the camera when
Uh,
they take the picture.
it's nuts. I've had experiences that just uh, kind of blew me away, so to speak. And I've got one for you. You will love this.
Go ahead, let's hear it.
Me and my wife, after her father died, I stayed up here in Chicago because he was ill, and until he passed away. We bought a house in the mountains of North Carolina.
Okay.
So over a period of time, over weeks, we were going down there painting and doing all these things.
Right.
So he passed away. I had 2 rooms left to paint. One was her office.
Okay.
So she gets in the car. She goes down the road. Now, the nearest store is like 6 miles. So she goes down there. I have the window open, and we have a gravel driveway. And the driveway is probably 50 feet long.
Okay.
But I've got the gravel right there at the window where you park the cars. So I'm painting along the bottom of the window on the inside of the room, naturally.
Okay.
And all of a sudden I look up. There's this woman standing there, full body. She looks like she's probably 90.
In the driveway.
Yeah, she's 20 feet from me, if even that. She might have been even closer than that. But she had on these old brocade slippers, like the old people used to wear.
Uh-huh.
She had on a blue and white dress, had the little white flowers on it like the old people used to wear.
You got a good look at her.
Oh, it was like looking at you right now.
Wow.
And her hair was gray and put up on a bun in the back of her head. But after everything was over and I recalled it, her face was a little bit fuzzy to me.
Okay.
I could see her hands, everything. So I just looked at the lady and I said, hang on just a second, I'll be right with you. Just like that. And I turned and put the paintbrush down. I looked up, she's gone. And just about the same time, my wife pulls in the driveway right up to the house.
And you're like, what did she do? Beam me up, Scotty? Where'd she go?
Where'd that lady go? Just like that? She says, what lady?
Oh.
The old lady that was just standing right there. You had to have seen her. There's nowhere for her to go. She said, there's nobody here. So after it's all over with, I checked the so-called neighborhood, if you could call it that, out there. And there was nobody even that age living out there.
Okay.
The oldest person out there was 64. This woman had to have been every bit of 90.
Okay. And you never saw her again?
That house was extremely active too. There was at
So you think she was
least activities.
she was attached to that house?
I don't know, but we do know that one of the entities that we were able to contact really regular, almost any time we got ready, was a woman called Bertha.
Okay.
Yeah, and you talk about things happening in that house. It was unreal. Now, Bertha's husband, and we found out through the archives that, yes, he did exist. We have his name and everything. He died of consumption.
Okay.
He was a former, before he went into the Civil War, he was a blacksmith.
Okay.
And while he was in the Civil War, he became an officer. And he got out of the Civil War. He was wounded. And he told us where he was buried and everything.
Wow. That's
Now,
incredible.
now Bertha, yeah, Bertha, we contacted her hundreds of times. Whenever we wanted to know something, we got hold of Bertha,
And
and
Bertha,
she let us know real quick. Now you could hear people walking through that house all during the day and night. Nobody there but me and my wife.
so yeah,
Or
it's like it's if we're both here, who is that?
you could hear the back door open and close. They'd walk right through the utility room. They'd either go to a bedroom or come up the hallway to the living room.
Wow.
Now we had some porcelain dishes that were up on top of the cabinet in these little A-frame things.
Uh-huh.
This particular porcelain, the least little thing will break it. It's antique. And
Okay.
it's extremely old. So we're sitting there. All of a sudden, we hear a big bang. We just come in from getting groceries. Hear a big bang. So we come in there. Now, here's one of the dishes had come all the way from the top, actually chipped the stove,
Uh-huh.
heat from the stove. Not a crack, chip, nothing on the plate.
Oh wow.
Now, I could give you 100 stories on this place, but the one that did get us more than anything else on that deal was that happened again on that same plate, and it wound up in the same spot. But the one behind it is octagonal shape, so it does not roll.
Right. Okay.
That one actually fell, and that was a 8 foot fall.
Uh-huh.
It went a feet into my office and was between the chair and the hassock inside my office. Got a chip,
Yo,
and there's no way that could happen.
I was gonna say that yeah, the laws of physics is not gonna that's not gonna happen.
No, no. And one night, out of curiosity, I took my digital recorder and I just turned it on and I put it on top of the counter um, in the kitchen. Well, for the first 2 hours, there was nothing on the tape.
Okay.
Not even a mouse. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you hear somebody walk in. You hear cabinets opening, dishes being pulled out, silverware, glasses, the whole deal.
Wow.
All this stuff, plates being set out, just like you were setting a table or something. I mean, each individual sound,
Uh-huh.
and then it waits for about 15 minutes. And then you hear them being put back up.
Wow. That's incredible. And you
And
know what? I've had that experience of being in another part of the house and
uh,
hearing stuff being moved around in the kitchen. I've had
yeah,
that experience, like you said, like normal stuff, like cupboards opening and just
yeah.
noises that you make when you're in the kitchen doing something. Yeah.
I
That,
investigated. I investigated one place. It was a single wide house trailer. They were having problems, and I kind of chuckled when I first heard the stories. So I stayed there all night. Nothing happened. So the second night, I set up the cameras. I went in the back bedroom where they normally sleep, and I fell asleep. Oh, geez, at least I got the cameras on. I get up, and when I come out, every one of the cabinets were open. The drawers are pulled out,
are you
and
kidding
all of the
me?
butcher knives are on top of the counter, laid out nice and neat.
Oh, God.
The,
The
ca-
butcher knives
the butcher knives.
of all
The,
things.
the camera is still running. There's nothing on the film.
Wow. See, that's the kind of stuff that it makes you wonder, how does that, are we talking parallel dimension? I mean, it's like, it's a real mind bender.
Because see, when you play it back, what you see on the film is when I walk around the camera
Uh-huh.
to the cabinets. Before that, there's nothing. It's like you got a blank wall.
Well, you know what? And it almost, haven't you ever seen those things where they say, like, the time slip where
Yeah,
for you it's 1 second?
yeah.
Like what you said, all you see is you're doing your thing, they're moving around, but for them, they slip in and do whatever it was that they did.
Yeah.
And of course, the film is only capturing real time.
Hmm. Now, in a lot of cases, you hear about people being attacked by a spirit, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all my investigations, never, I have been touched
Okay.
and I've been pushed one
Okay.
time. But in this particular case, this was at Trans Allegheny.
Okay.
Uh, they got this one spirit there that I'm not the only one that knows about it, but they got this one spirit there. It's a woman that hates men.
Okay.
Well, I had a little case of ego at that particular moment, and I walked to the room, and I'm going to say, well, she's going to talk to me.
Oh.
But she wouldn't talk to me. She talked to every woman that went in there, but she wouldn't talk to me.
Uh-huh.
So normally I do not disrespect the spirit, but I said something very rude, crude, and downright ugly.
You got her attention then, huh? She was like, "Okay, I'll talk to you now."
I walked out. Yes. So as I walked out the door, I had passed the door frame maybe about 4 inches.
Okay.
Sue, the lady I was telling you about previously, and two people from West Virginia were standing there. Something hit me so hard, I went down on one knee. I
Wow.
had a streak across my left eye that went from the eyebrow all the way down on the cheek that stayed for 2 days.
What?
When I stood up, and the guy from West Virginia took a picture of me and Sue. There was a black mass in between us that you couldn't see through.
Oh. Oh. And that was you didn't want to talk to her anymore after that, huh?
I stayed away from her.
I bet.
I said to myself, if you dislike me that much, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave you alone. I'll respect your space. My wife goes in there 5 minutes later and gets a really cool recording off of her.
Well, it's and you know what? And that's another thing, especially when you go to these asylums. It's also that, I mean, besides that you're talking to a discarnate, you're also dealing some people with different types of mental illnesses. Even though when you look at the list of things that somebody could be committed for, you could be committed for just about anything back then.
Yeah, yeah.
Just for being sad sometimes you
We
were
were
committed.
we were able to contact one entity there. They had never contacted before, and
Okay.
come to find out, he gave us his name and everything. And the manager of the place, she was there when we contacted this person. She says, I'm going to go down and check the records and see if I can find out anything on this. She
Mm-hmm.
goes down and checked the records, and it was two brothers.
Really?
And one got there before the other. The other got there during the time of the Civil War, because they got a section that was built during the Civil War.
Okay.
And he got there during the Civil War. His brother was there before then.
Okay.
So we were actually able to attack both of the brothers.
Wow. And
Yeah.
did they live out their days there, or were they just there and then they left? Were they able to get able to
The
leave?
according to the records at Trans Allegheny, they both died there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's one of the things that you see. You see some people they went in there and they never came out, but
Hmm.
then there was other people that would leave and then they would come back depending on. Because back then they didn't have medications like they have now. But yeah, you see a lot of that when you look at the records that some of these people basically lived out the rest of their days, whatever they were.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Trans-Allegheny?
Yes, I have. I have been to Trans-Allegheny.
Did you have some good experiences?
Yes and no. I was with like I did like the tour in the group, and number one, they kind of moved you along a little bit too quickly. I had some experiences despite that. Okay, um, especially when I like tried to like do the dawdle along and fall back.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
especially.
tell, I tell you what, if you ever, if the next time I go,
Mm-hmm.
I'll invite you. You go with me, and you won't have to stay with those groups.
Oh, that would be great. That would be fantastic. Because it was like with that group, it was like, okay, nothing here. Even if there was, forget it. It's just, and as soon as they would move off a little bit, but then I would have the guy going like this to me, like, hey, come on. And I'd be like, darn it.
Get over
Yeah. And
You remember what the doctor's quarters were? Where the doctors lived?
I'm trying to remember because I know that there was one floor where they had the nurses.
Yep.
I think it was, what is it, the fourth? It was one of the upper floors.
Yeah.
Um, And then I know that there was one, that they were basically, they had the nurses station and they had the other one, another floor where they kept the people that were more violent.
That's correct. That's correct.
Um, and they as a I think that there was also, I want to say that if I remember correctly, I don't want to get my asylums mixed up. I believe that there was even a nurse that was killed.
Uh, th-
One of
there
the
was
patients there.
there was several people that got messed up and killed too.
Yeah, and
Yes. Yeah.
that they would kill each, amongst the patients there.
Yeah. Now, okay, you remember where the clock is?
Is this on the ground floor when you come in, or
Okay, when you come in on the ground floor,
right?
uh, go up to the next floor, and you'll come out on a balcony that's
Okay.
basically beneath the clock.
Okay.
So it's big because you can look out from the balcony and look up and see the clock. But
Okay.
that's where the doctor's quarters was.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people don't go in there. They don't bother with it because they don't think they're going to get anything. Of course, there's not a lot of professionalism on that type thing anyway, unless you can get some privacy. But we go in there, and we got two children.
Really?
One of them was a doctor's kid, and we knew where her bed was and everything. So we asked the child, said, "Were you cold in the winter?" Yes.
Wow.
Did they light you a fire to keep you warm? Did your father light you a fire to keep you warm? Yes. Did you have lots of toys? Uh-huh.
Wow. But you
Yeah.
know what? And a lot of people don't realize, Michael, that back in those days, the staff and the doctors and the nurses would live
Yeah.
at these hospitals.
That's
It
absolutely.
wasn't like they had dorms sometimes, or they had apartments within the building or certain floors. If you were the superintendent, where everybody lived there, the wife, the kids, everybody. It's not like now where everybody leaves at the end of the day and comes back the following day.
And in the children's section,
Okay.
uh, we captured several children's voices.
Wow.
Yeah. We've run into some really amazing things over the years, and I've got a new hunt coming up. It's a kind of famous bar that used to belong to Al Capone, and some of
Okay.
his tunnels are still under there. And we're going in there, and got a couple of places that we're getting ready to go to, and we're gonna go back to shucks, the one in Kentucky,
The Waverly.
Waverly. Yeah, we're going to Waverly Hills this spring.
Have you been to Moundsville, to the prison in West Virginia?
Hmm.
Yeah, I've been
Yes,
there.
yeah, I went there a long time ago.
Yeah, that
Uh,
one.
I was,
And
I was
Yeah, in Chicago, I went to Chicago a few years back because my son was in the Navy and he went stationed at some point, what is it, North Lake or North Shore? I always get them all mixed up. Though. Right, that's about what 40 miles out of
Yep.
Chicago.
Yep.
So I went to Chicago a few times because of him, and I really didn't get a chance to go to a lot of the places, like especially like in that downtown area.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's there's a lot of paranormal activity around this place.
I bet there's a lot of history, a lot of violent history too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you think about it. If you want to go history wise, every single one of the large buildings that are in Chicago
Right?
are built according to the standards that were designed and developed by Al Capone.
Really?
Yeah. Now, this right over here at Blue Island, with um, gangsters came over there quite a bit, and another, my wife's grandfather, he used to repair, and his her dad has told a lot of stories about it and everything. The way Grandma said, "This ain't gonna happen no more." You know? But now
You know
his
what?
house,
And I wonder, a few years back, I read a story. It's supposed to be a true story. It's called a Chicago Ghost Story, and
yeah,
it's about a
Resurrection
f-
Mary,
no, not resurrection. It's about a father named Father Muldoon,
yeah,
and there was oh, what was it was a rectory. I want to say it's been closed down.
it
I'm not
has
sure if it's been closed. I think it was yeah, St. Charles Borromeo or something like that. He's supposed to be the one that haunts it.
the rectory is still open. You can go there and actually investigate it.
Oh,
It's o-
really?
yeah, it's over by the Calsag,
Uh huh.
the Calsag River, and you'll see the cemetery there, and you'll see the rectory and everything.
You,
And my brother-in-law and I have too now. Uh, both of us have seen Resurrection Mary,
really?
and I saw her. I used to do EMS in Chicago,
Okay.
and we were coming down Archer, and we saw her, me and my partner. But another thing too, God, there's so much that happens here that is just purely incredible. Um, a lot of now Bachelor's Grove.
Yes.
I have photographs from Bachelor's Grove that would drive you wild.
And let me ask you, do you think that what's going on in Bachelor's Grove is it the burials, or is there truth to the fact that at some point they were dumping bodies out there? People that the mob was killing, and they would just take them and chuck them out there. Do you think that's where it's coming from?
There was a lot of deaths out there,
Okay.
a lot of deaths. Um, they weren't killed there. Let me
Right.
put it that way. Um, and there were some that were killed there too, but very, very few, just one or two. But the things that happen out there would amaze you.
Right. No, I've heard it's very active, even though from what I understand, it's a little bit overgrown now. But
Yeah.
that's what I've heard, that it's a really active spot.
Well, did you ever watch Ghost Adventures?
Yes. The one when they went to Bachelor's Grove?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Well, you saw the picture of the guy in the white shirt with the camel with the so-called demon. That
Yes.
was me.
That was who?
That was me.
That was you?
That was me.
Really? Oh, you're
Yeah.
kidding.
That was when I was young and charming.
Wow.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff that we got that day was pretty incredible. Now, the whatever that was in
Uh,
those bushes was amazing, and it was not there when we were taking the pictures.
really?
You couldn't see it till after the pictures were taken.
See, and that's the kind of stuff that it's like, once you see it after the fact, you're like, darn it! Because there's just things that you don't pay attention to, really. depending on, what's going on around you.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, after the fact it's too late, you're like, God.
The ladies have earrings that they hoop over and go
Right.
through the ear and hoop over.
Yes.
So to get those out, you got to lift them up and pull them out, right?
Yes.
I had been standing in a cemetery in broad daylight, and I knew where my wife's hands were,
Uh-huh.
and watched her earring just come right out of her ear, and
Can you imagine? Can you imagine that you must have been like, okay.
the look on her face was total shock.
I imagine that must have been.
And I just looked at it. God, that was cool.
But that's got to be really unnerving. No matter what, whichever way you look at it, it's unnerving. It's unnerving because the. Let me have you, and I'm curious to ask you about this because sensitive. It's like an understatement as far as you're concerned. Have
Uh,
you ever gone to any of these investigations, whether it's to one of these places or to a private, where it's followed you home because it's whatever this entity or entities are, they know this guy sees or hears me. Have you
one
ever had
time,
that?
one time,
What happened?
uh, there's a burial place over in Indiana, and I took my stepson out there. Now, the first thing that happens is my camera stopped working and then started working.
Okay.
New batteries, but started
Uh-huh.
working again, hey, no problem.
Okay.
So we leave the trail, we go down. I got some exceptional photography done there too, as far as evidence is concerned. And but the microphone on the recorder quit,
Really?
totally quit. It would not record anything. And once we got back up almost to the car, then it started working again. But anyway, so we come back home, and he's telling everything that happened and everything. I'm letting him talk, because he's all excited. So I had told him, excuse me, I said, whenever you speak about these things, show some respect. Well, his wife says, I didn't want you to go because you might bring something home with you.
Oh.
So he says, BS, that just does not happen. I said, ease up, buddy. You never know.
Uh-huh.
So it had been raining a little bit on our way back out, so he's going to go take a shower.
Mm-hmm.
He goes in, sits down in the little bench there in the bathroom,
Uh-huh.
starting to remove his clothes. He had turned the shower on. The shower goes off, the sink comes on.
Oh.
He's, well, maybe, I cut on the wrong one. So he cuts the sink off, cuts the shower back on, steps out of the room to get him some more clothes, comes back in, the sink is on, shower's off.
So how long did it take him to bolt out of the bathroom?
So he bolts out of there, almost immediately. He cuts it off, comes out there, tells me what's going on. We step back there to the bathroom. We're standing there. Faucet comes on.
Oh.
So I checked it, to see if it's loose or anything like that. I couldn't
Uh-huh.
find anything, but that's still no guarantee.
Of course not.
So he goes ahead and gets everything done. So the next morning, we're going to leave and go to Chicago.
Okay.
Somebody piles in the car. I said, okay, you guys got to wait. Breakfast is kicking in. I got to go to the bathroom. I go to the guest bathroom. I'm not going to go to that other one.
It's like, forget it.
There, beside the toilet, there is a trap door in the wall for plumbing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a latch on it. One of these you pick up and you move and latch it down, right? So I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and all of a sudden it just opens up just as smooth and easy as anything in the world. So I
Oh.
sat in, I closed it, and I latched it, and I know it was latched. So it's like 2 minutes later, does it again. This time I slam it and latch it. It happened the third time.
And you're like, okay,
I'm gone.
that's it. I'm not gonna stay here, and took it out with the bathroom ghost.
Yeah. So the only place anything could have happened there, because he mentioned some other stuff that happened after we left.
Uh huh.
So apparently he brought something home with him.
And it's like, oh, that's what is it? You ask for it, you got it.
I always carry protection, so I'm not bringing anything home with me.
Well, well, it also sounds like you're aware of what happens when you start making comments like that. That
Yeah,
somebody's gonna take you up on it just to prove
yeah,
to you some. Yeah, like, hey, guess what? I can go home with you. What do you think about
yeah.
that?
They can do anything they wish.
And I know that you have books about the Carolinas, and do you think down like in the Carolinas and things like that, like you said, where you've got Civil War, war fields and sometimes layers, or up there towards because I've been up there also in the Great Lakes and everything like that. As a matter of fact, I went and I visited that Confederate prison that they had at Sandusky, right on the lake. That they had a place where they kept the Confederate prisoners out of.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think? Do you think the Carolinas, for example, are more haunted, or up there in that neck of the woods up in Chicago by the Great Lakes and so forth?
It just all depends on, because there's a lot of places up here you get nothing at all. There's
Mm-hmm.
a place you go, other place you get nothing at all. It's it just depends on. I guess if you believe in God,
Mm-hmm.
it depends on what He lets them do,
Okay.
or however conditions allow him to do. The thing about an apparition, such as a full body,
Okay.
science will tell you that for me to be able to see you, there has to be molecular structure.
Right.
For you to be solid enough for me to see you, there has to be molecular structure.
Yes.
For me to touch you, push you, rub against you, or anything else, there has to be molecular structure. Now, anything with a molecular structure that can be seen, touched, felt, heard cannot move through a solid wall,
Yeah, it's either one or the other.
but yet an apparition can.
Mm-hmm.
So, physics wise, that apparition cannot be explained. Now, I've heard all explanations from psychiatrists and all these other people, but how can you take a picture of imagination?
Right. And that's what I was going to say, because I know some will say, well, it's the ability of one person. Basically, what they're seeing, it's not there. They're being able to see it in their mind. Even though they say their eyes are seeing it. But like you said, doesn't matter what you're seeing if how can a camera capture anything if it's not there in that space?
Yeah, yeah. And like when you record an EVP, and
Mm-hmm.
then when you go back and analyze it, and it's not within the human spectrum of voice, explain it,
Yes.
because they cannot.
Yes.
So don't stand there and tell me that this does not exist
Mm-hmm.
when here's the evidence from not just me, but from a lot of people. Now you've got your people that pull their hoaxes
Sure.
and fabricate evidence. Some people are even famous and fabricate evidence, but sooner or later they get caught.
Yes.
But the thing about it is, there is no reason to fabricate anything it is because we want solid proof, undeniable proof. We have it within grasp. We don't have it solid enough to where we can lay it in front of somebody. Scientists believe if they can't reproduce it, it doesn't exist.
And that's the thing.
And what I have to say to them, I cannot repeat in front of you.
Well, no, I believe it. I've probably said it or thought it myself plenty of times. And don't get me wrong, I can understand and I've said it before, I can understand up to a certain point as far as the scientific, where, of course, you know, capturing proof or evidence of some type gives it validity. I understand that. And a lot of paranormal investigators, the serious ones, understand that. Well, personally, I think there's too many pieces of equipment out there that I just think they're useless. But I can understand why people want to do that.
You're right.
But that does not mean that if you fail to capture anything, it's not there.
Yeah, that's right. Because there's been a lot of times that everybody heard something. And we knew it wasn't us, but everybody heard it, and it was a voice. There's nobody within a mile, but there was the voice. But still, the recorder would not pick it up. And then you have the instances where nobody heard anything, but it's on the recorder.
Yes.
So how do you explain this to somebody who is a hardcore skeptic?
Yes.
Now, I am extremely fond of full spectrum cameras.
Okay.
Because as you and I know, the full spectrum will pick up every light that the human eye cannot.
Right.
So if there's something in that room, it's going to have some kind of light to it. So if I can pick it up with my full spectrum, hey, I'm a happy guy.
There's something that, yeah, exactly. And I agree with you, because there's a lot of times that just based on what our eyes can see, you're very limited sometimes.
Yeah. And your eyes, for me, people that I have taken on some investigations with me that have never been before, they wanted to go so bad, and finally you break down and say, okay, But number one, they hype themselves. So they're going to see and hear stuff that is not actually there because they have already frightened themselves.
Yeah. They've primed themselves.
Yeah. So I tell them straight out of the gate, leave yourself open. Don't say, oh, Jesus, so dark in here. It doesn't matter how dark it is in here. The ghost doesn't know it. Don't tell him.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's like, and that's the thing. Let's face it, human beings, we are what we are. If you prime somebody and you hype them up and you get their senses, like you said, you hear a noise. If you're not hyped up, you'll realize, oh, that's a pigeon on the window, whatever. Yep. But if you're hyped up and you're primed, that noise all of a sudden translates into the ghost.
Yeah.
Your objectivity goes out, it's non-existent.
Yeah. Yeah, and the simple creak of a old pipe will drive those people insane. Did you hear that? Footsteps. And I always loved it, like on the shows, for instance. Did you hear that? Of course we didn't hear it.
Of course. I know. I've seen that.
You idiot.
Well, and to be perfectly honest, it's the timing on their music also. You get this music on a crescendo. All of a sudden, it's like, even if there was anything, who's going to hear it over the music? Yeah.
It's like you're looking at the credits and like the ones from England and over here and everything, produced by so and so and so. And then my wife laughs. How do you write a script for a ghost hunt?
Well, believe it or not, yeah, there are some that do that, because I've heard of there's the one, I don't I don't think they're regularly rolling. What was it? The one out of England called Most Haunted, and I saw that they ran for quite a while. They went to a lot of places. I think they still produce shows, but not weekly. And I think somebody, some writer, somebody that went along, kind of outed them and suggested exactly what you said. That they had.
He,
They said at this moment, this is gonna. In other words, there was a script written like at certain points that things were gonna happen.
he blew them out of the water. And I don't like to go on an investigation with somebody that, even though they have a reputation, that every corner has got a demon in it.
Oh, you're one of them. Thank God.
I, I, I got this one friend. Uh, he's really good to investigate with till he starts that. So I finally told him one day. I said, "Why do you do that?" He said, "What?" I said, "What makes you believe you see demons?" Well, I'm a demonologist. Really?
Oh,
You know, how did you do that? Did you go to school for that or what? Well, no, but so and so. You know, I said, no, you're just full of it.
I let me tell you, every time that people, it's, I don't think anybody really understands whether you believe in them or not. What exactly you are putting yourself out there to be an expert or to tangle with.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
If it really was really, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
if it truly was a demon, you don't stand a chance, buddy.
Well, this is the thing, and and I tell it, um, what I tell a lot of people is, despite the Hollywood version that you see all these shows that people do all these acrobatics and all these things,
Yeah.
um, the influence of something demonic is much more subtle. It goes over sometimes years. Basically, what it's
Yes.
looking for is the corruption of the person,
Correct.
and anybody usually that gets involved in that, and as a matter of fact, as I tell everybody, even Catholic Church, they're everybody goes eventually. If you
Yeah.
see to the Catholics, they're having a hard time with a few priests that are coming on board. They're having
Yeah.
a hard time recruiting from these new priests coming out of the seminaries, just taking orders to be go into and become exorcists. They don't want that. They don't want that. Okay.
No.
And because it's psychologically, I think it does a number on you. Even if you're a priest and you got the big guns supposedly or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I have found a lot of things that were hard to swallow as far as that stuff is concerned, and I have learned a lot of things, especially as far as places you should not, or things you should not delve into,
Mm-hmm.
things to keep away from you.
Yes.
And the number one on the hit parade, which everybody thinks is a toy, is a Ouija board.
Yes.
It's a big one to stay away from. It opens gates,
Yes.
and you don't know what's coming through that door. And it could be a so-called demon. It could be a malevolent spirit.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know. But ones that have documented and had made actual contact through that came through on a Ouija, usually it did not come out well.
No, there's and and maybe people sometimes don't realize when you're talking either an elemental, a dark elemental spirit, or demon. In many cases, you're talking something that's been in existence prior to Judeo-Christian times.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
which is why you will not all the time, but sometimes you'll get, because in the Catholic religion you can't exorcise a house. You can do a house blessing. You can exorcise a person, but that's why a lot of these stories sometimes that you hear people where they get at least a house blessing and it ramps
Yeah.
things up or doesn't solve the problem is
Yeah.
because if you're dealing with something on that level, whatever's there might
Yeah.
predate Christianity.
Well, you talk about look at the elemental that's at the Scottish castle. I can't think of the name of it right this minute, but there's
Oh,
an
the one
element.
is, are you talking about the one in Ireland at Leap Castle?
Yeah, yeah, at
Yes,
least. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
That's
a mind bender right there. I'll tell you that
yeah,
much right now.
that's definitely no joke.
No, it is not.
And when you know when the priest won't even attempt to mess with it,
No. No.
there's something really bad there.
No. And I mean they really don't know the origin. Some people, some think, well, that it was something conjured by druids who were there way before. There was a significant amount of horrible deaths in that castle. Who knows
Yeah,
if that was
yeah,
a product of that? But there's been enough witnesses that have seen it that, I mean, that's, it sounds like there's something there.
yeah,
And they usually do what I have found in my experience is the best thing to do, which is don't go looking for it. Ignore it, like don't even bring
yeah,
it up in conversation kind of thing. Because when
yeah,
you're talking something like an elemental, you don't
yeah.
want
No,
you don't want
no,
its attention.
no. I don't want. I don't want an
You don't.
elemental
You don't. You
autograph.
don't. You don't. You don't.
But some of the like I also do a lot of research on things in
Mm-hmm.
different places, and there are some places I want to look into that I try to find places not everybody goes,
Yes, I
and
totally
a
agree.
lot of people who do investigate different places, they say, okay, I went to this place. I got a little bit or not much or nothing at all, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try the next place. They don't bother to tell the novice that you don't get something every time.
Oh,
You might have to go somewhere a dozen times before you get something. Or even at
yes.
that, you still might not get nothing at all. It depends on whether that particular entity wants to communicate with you or not.
It could be a series of things.
Yeah. Now, this summer, we're also going back to, or going to, I haven't been there yet, the Velisca House.
Yes, I've heard of that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
up in Iowa, right? Yes, I
Yeah.
haven't gone there.
Velisca, Iowa. We're going there, and I want to arrange it for a night that has particular conditions as far as the weather is concerned.
Yes, that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, because see, I looked into a lot of the professionally wise investigations that were held there, what the weather was, etc. for those
Okay.
particular nights. Well, I have my own thing I want to do there when I do the investigation. So when I go, it's going to be under my terms, so
Okay.
I can find out if I get the same evidence or I get different evidence or what. And there are some people close by that I want to speak with concerning that.
Now I'm going to
Uh,
ask you something, Michael, and because this is the thing, from what I understand, the house in and of itself is kind of small. It's not a big house, and this was supposedly when that axe murder occurred. It was like a little town, kind of a farming town.
yeah,
Do you think that the phenomena that's been there, which by the way I've spoken to more than one person who I believe them, in other words, when they've told me about certain things happening there, do you think that it's entities of the people that were killed there, or that because so many people have gone there trying to communicate, that they've also opened up where you've got other entities that are now in that, either in that structure or in the property?
I think there's somebody else there besides the original victims.
Okay.
I don't think the killer per se
Mm-hmm.
is there.
Okay.
I think there's somebody else there besides the victims.
Okay.
Uh, the reason I say it is because I've been keeping up with the evidence that I've seen produced
Mm-hmm.
there, and it does not fall in with other evidence. And this one particular man that takes care of this place all the time,
Yes.
he has a lot to say. So, and it tells you right there something else has happened there.
Okay. And
And
that's the person that's going to notice it, by the way. Somebody that's
that's
there
right.
on a continuous basis.
That's right. Now, three different occasions that I'm aware of, a Ouija board was brought in.
Oh, okay. Enough said. Yep.
Yeah, and that's another thing that convinces me that there's something else there besides the victims.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes. Yes. That's where I was getting to. That yeah. That's where I was going with that. Which is yeah, whatever that was a horrible thing in children and that whole and of course that was never solved. But I'm thinking to myself, there's too many people going in and out of that place, and I want to say there's a lot of people that don't know what they're doing or think they know what they're doing and don't. And when you said that thing about the Ouija board, it was like, oh,
well,
I know that that's got some type of influence there.
I also found out that there's been two witches to go.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, and you start practicing witchcraft. Number one, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yes,
So, and you don't know if it works or not.
exactly.
So, are you, as they say, Glenda, are you a good witch or a bad
Right,
witch?
right. Which one are you? Which one are you?
Yeah,
Glinda the Good Witch or the other one? I forgot her name was. Well, and this is and sometimes it falls into and it has a lot also to do with intentions. I think it also has a lot to do with intentions and knowledge.
yeah.
You'll get people that go in there and they kind of think they know what they're doing and they don't. They invoke, they conjure something and better than they thought. They leave. Ah, nothing happened. Well, what a waste of time.
Well,
Yeah.
we have an old saying with us. Uh, are you going to invoke or evoke?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. You know what? People, some people especially in this type, they underestimate the power of the stupid as far as when it comes to doing stuff that's why and I've because like I said I've been doing this for a long time and sometimes I'll get calls about you know investigations but they're not I can't go and they'll ask for a recommendation and sometimes I can give them one but I said whatever you do check out who you're going to allow into your house first of all that
Yes,
they've been established for
always.
a while they're not a fly by night and I said because worst case scenario besides the fact that you're actually allowing strangers into your home
Mm-hmm.
if you do actually have any type of supernatural whatever going on whatever it might be you let the wrong people in or the wrong person in there
Mm-hmm.
and it could make things much worse than what you're experiencing now and I've had more than one situation where they need a cleanup crew
I
to go in
love
there because that's the way to look at it it's like I
I
need a
love the
cleanup
fake
crew
I love
I'll,
the fake psychic.
well and this is and I tell everybody there's people that are psychic and I said but the psychic stuff comes and goes like it depends it's a human body
Yeah,
okay
they
even if
don't
you
have,
have psychic abilities you've had a long day or you have a cold or you've got worries you cannot produce you're not the
they
psychic
have,
stuff goes on the back burner
the average person does not realize that a true psychic cannot bring it up on a whim.
no you can't
And a true psychic is not going to advertise he's a psychic or she is a psychic
exactly
because
exactly
people are afraid.
well I think what happens and I was talking to somebody else about this the other day I said that during the time when when Houdini and spiritualism was up and Houdini was finding all these people that were fraudulent. I said, yeah, I bet you that there was a bunch of people that they didn't have one psychic hair on their head. I said,
Yeah.
but I'm sure there were some that were. But once they
Yeah.
got to the point of depending on the money this was making for them,
Yeah.
because remember, these were the times where people had produced ectoplasm out of their mouth or ear, or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
you had stuff floating in the air and crap like that. You know, once you maintain a roof over your head based on your psychic abilities, guaranteed you're going to be faking it a lot of times because
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it's inevitable, and that's because and that's what you said. It's not an on-demand thing, and I've said that plenty of times.
I
And
have a
and like you said, the person that really understands it goes, "I'm never going to say I am because guess what? The one time that somebody asks me or wants input and I can't produce because maybe I'm coming down with a flu, maybe I've got sinus or whatever, and I'll say I can't. Oh, you're fake.
I, I do have a surprise for you though.
Go ahead.
I have 4 pictures of actual real ectoplasm.
You did. Where? How? How? I mean, not how. I mean, I know how. I mean,
Uh, a real good friend of mine, he got me into a place to investigate that this woman never lets anybody on her property.
okay.
Period.
Okay.
We went to investigate it. Now, to show you what goes on there,
All right.
uh, take this leather strap, string type leather.
Mhm.
2 of them. They got little balls on them, like you put on the end of a curtain,
Okay.
laying on the counter, completely untied. You go back, they'll be tied in knots.
Really?
Yes. Now, we have got pictures of really amazing stuff from the trail cameras and stuff that we had set up.
Okay.
I have one picture, trail camera sitting here. I'm standing here. My wife is standing behind me. She snaps a picture. Now, a trail camera. In front of the trail camera, between me and my wife, well, I'm here and it would be in front of me, there is a woman, blonde hair, bright blonde hair.
Okay.
It looks like it's been whacked off with a pair of scissors, that kind of haircut.
Yes.
Old time blue wool looking outfit
Okay.
and a headband.
That's 1920s. That sounds like a flapper.
Where this particular type of headband is Native American.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, it's there, plain as day.
And
Now,
you didn't see it till after the fact.
there was nothing. Let me put it this way: we took the film from the trail camera. It had me and her, but not that. But Ria's camera caught that.
Isn't that incredible how you'll have one camera doesn't get anything
I
and
have
the other one
another.
does?
I have another photograph where these you see these figures in the wooded parts, and it's really strange looking figures. I have another one that is taken shooting back towards the entrance to the property, which is gated. You cannot get in and out without going through that gate. And to the right of the gate on the inside is a man and woman in like 1930s style clothes coming towards me.
Oh my God.
Um,
Oh
but now
wow.
this is that's just beginning for this place. Uh, the place is so amazing.
And where's this at? Or what state is this in?
It's in a place called Cashiers, North Carolina. It's up in the mountains,
Okay.
and it's really incredible.
I just came back from South Carolina. As a matter of fact, and I went to some of the ruins of some of those chapels of ease.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, well, I guess it's because it's so remote. Is the one that's Pon's that's on that and it's very remote. There's nothing out there, which is great. And
Yeah.
also, it sits off what used to be a stagecoach road between Charleston and Savannah,
Uh-huh.
which a lot of things always happen on stagecoach road.
Now, did you go to Myrtle Beach while you were there?
No, I didn't have time.
You
I was
should
so
have.
pressed for time. I just went to the one at Sheldon Ruins and the one on St. Helena's Island.
Okay. Now, if you go to Myrtle Beach, you have the Grand Strand down by the ocean, right? You got Ripley's and these
Yes.
other places, beaches
Uh-huh.
going on. It's haunted.
Really?
There's a lot of haunts down there.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh.
there's a lot of places haunted down there. Uh, is
Is it the
oh,
actual land or is it certain locations, certain
certain locations.
Okay.
Locations, yeah.
I went to these more because first of all, I didn't have that much time. And second of
Yeah.
all, I was banking on that I was going in the middle of the day on a weekday, so I was always hoping like always there's no people around.
Uh-huh.
Which I was pretty good. I was very lucky with the exception of the last one I went to that I had a guy doing he caught some photographs, but as he was leaving, I got there, so I was basically I had all three places to myself, which is great. But yeah, I was short on time. I mean, I've been to Charleston a few times, and the thing with Charleston is that I'm sure there's a lot of haunted places, but it's almost like you said, you want to go to the place where it's not everybody has gone through
Yeah,
there.
correct.
This is
Yeah.
not the place that people on the tour go.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
that's what I'm always looking for.
98% of the time when it says haunted tour,
Oh
forget
yes.
get away from it.
Yeah, yeah. And I tell everybody, the same thing. I go, if I'm not saying chances are maybe it might be a little bit haunted. If there was ever a ghost by now, he or she has probably left and gotten out of there because of all the traffic coming through. So even if once upon a time there was a true haunting, for all you know, by the time you're going there now, it has it's not there any longer. But sure makes a lot of money for the people doing the tour.
Yeah. Now there's a place called Rayville, Missouri.
Rayville, Missouri. Okay.
Right.
I'm gonna write this
At,
down.
at Rayville, Missouri, you have an overhead pass goes over railroad tracks.
Okay.
Now, if you're on top at times, it's not a everyday event, but at times you can stand on top of the overhead pass, look down the railroad tracks. Uh, you'll be looking west.
Okay.
You'll see way down a black man,
Really?
a black man walking towards you. You can tell that the trousers are brown, the shirt is a kind of a beige color,
Uh-huh.
and he looks to appear to be a red, kind of like a baseball hat. And you really can't see the feet because it's at that distance, but you can
Okay.
tell that much. But he's walking towards you. Now,
Wow.
yeah, and you think to yourself, I need to get a better view of this guy. This
Okay.
son,
So
leave the overhead pass, go under it, go down to the tracks.
uh-huh.
He's not there. He's not there. But you go back up, back on top. He's still walking in the exact same spot. I did it 4 times. He was still in the same spot.
And no, how long has he been seen there? For a long time or
For years. Years.
and I wonder if he's, in other words, there's always if you ever tried to walk to him, is it where the distance always remains the same? In other words, you never get close enough.
That part I don't know because I wasn't able to stay long enough to talk to enough people to find out. But I did find out from the grocer, which was close to the overhead path, that yeah, you can see him pretty much anytime, you know.
And no idea who the guy is?
No, nobody seems to know.
Yeah.
Now, I was taking pictures for Ghost of the North Carolina Shores.
Okay.
went to a Hosky, North Carolina, and this is in the middle of downtown. So you got the railroad tracks.
Okay.
So me and my wife were down the track and shooting pictures. So we got 2 blocks to the next street, and we're shooting pictures down the railroad track because that's where the old trestle used to be.
Okay.
We get back and we're looking at the pictures. We really don't see anything, but you always have a tendency to magnify it to see if you can find anything.
Mm-hmm.
6 pictures. We had something in there each picture.
Oh.
And one of the set of 3, you could see a person. Now, we took this in the summertime, but it's a person, dark skin, wearing a type of fur coat.
Really?
Bushy collar, fur coat, short person, and has a dog.
What?
In the first picture, you see him, and it's halfway across the railroad track, and you can't see it that well, but you can see it. And the next picture is at the side of the railroad track. You can see him good, and you can see the little dog.
Wow.
that
That is
picture,
incredible. And you know what? And those are the sightings that's why I love those sightings. Not the ones like you said that sometimes you go and 95% of the chance there's nothing there. The ones that the tours take you to.
yeah, yeah,
These are the ones that, and that's another thing. I tell people, not all discarnate entities are tied to a house
uh-huh.
or a location. Sometimes they appear in more than one place. They're sighted in more than one place.
Now, when I did the show for the Travel Channel, when we were filming, the guy tried to get me to talk about a couple of particular investigations I had been on.
Okay.
Well, I refused to do it. For number one, I had signed a privacy clause
Mm-hmm.
on one of them, and number two, the other story, I would not tell them anything about it because of it was a personal thing because
Mm-hmm.
I knew people, and I
Yes.
didn't want everybody and his brother going up there and bothering those people.
Yes.
So, but anyway, they tried their best to get me to talk about those, and I wouldn't do it.
Well, no. Let me tell you something. I want to say that 03, 04, 05, what is it, Dominion Pictures, I want to say, would
uh,
contact me, you know, oh, places, stories, can you help us out? And it was like, yeah, I've got a lot of cases, but these are people's private homes,
yeah,
okay?
yeah,
This is stuff that was going on sometimes to their family, and
that's
I
right.
can't talk about that. I can't send you over there. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, cases. I got a lot of cases. All right.
Yeah. Well, it's just like we did a place for children, kind of like a preschool, but still at the same time not daycare.
Uh huh.
More of a daycare than anything else. Now there was a lot of activity there. We weren't able to capture that much, but
Okay.
enough to know that yeah, what people saying was true because uh, they had there was too many witnesses, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But we're standing. I got the cameras set up and all this stuff, but I'm standing over by this office door, and there's another door that leads down a hallway to a kitchen. Well, one of the girls that works there has a Dixie cup in her hand,
Okay.
and it had maybe not even a third full. That Dixie cup left her hand, traveled 6 feet, 6 feet across
Oh
the room.
my God.
I mean, just like somebody had tossed it. I mean, or knocked it out of her hand.
Uh huh.
I measured it exactly how far it was, and I said, okay, we're going to reproduce this. So I went and filled it up with as much as she had in it. I could
Okay.
not even throw it and get it to go even halfway
See,
as far as that cup went. So how could that cup
do that.
travel 6 feet across the room? You know, because it sure didn't go on its own, and nobody was seen doing it. But when we witnessed that, it was like, because
Ah.
I was looking at her, and she did not throw that.
Right, and that was a thing that, like you said, the timing was that you were looking at her. It wasn't like you looked at her after the fact. You were
Right.
looking at her while this
When it
happened.
was happening, yeah. And the
So,
look on her face was total shock.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
yes, yes. See, and
But
then
one one of the ladies in there jumped in. I told you.
oh, and sometimes a lot of things sometimes happen, and I tell everybody, you know what? Sometimes things happen to investigation. You're not prepared to. You don't have a camera. You're not. Things happen sometimes, and it's that the best you got is I know what I experienced or what I saw. I don't have a camera. I don't have any recording. I don't have anything. But you know what you witnessed. So
Yeah, yeah,
it is what it is, and then you're so happy when somebody else is actually around to
yeah.
experience it.
Because it doesn't make a liar out of you.
Well, yeah, I mean, you think, if I tell everybody, people will maybe say, oh, okay, like they're trying to be nice about it. But let's face it, especially when you're
Yeah,
talking about something like that, nothing makes a believer quicker than when they see it themselves.
yeah,
And then they say
that's
exactly
true.
what you said. See, I told you.
Very
Of
true.
course, of course.
And I just I love the thrill of the hunt. You know,
Yes.
whether I get anything or whether I get any evidence or not, I love to go see if there is, or if nothing else, analyze what the problem is. Now, did a hunt in Aberdeen, um, South Dakota.
Okay.
Now, this house was over 100 years old.
Okay.
It was small. You had one, two, three rooms upstairs, a tight staircase and everything. Um, and there was one, two, three rooms downstairs, the 3.5 rooms downstairs, because one room had been converted. Now, in the upstairs bedroom, closest to the horse pasture, you could look through the boards and actually see into the living room. I mean, it was
Oh,
like maybe an 1/8 inch wide, but you
okay.
can't see because there's no insulation or anything.
Uh huh.
Now, they said they could smell cigar smoke. Okay, you got one or two things. Either somebody previously or you have smoked a cigar in there, it has gotten into the wood, into the walls. I
Okay.
paid no attention to this. The witnesses said they couldn't sleep in a certain bedroom.
Okay.
Why can't you sleep? Hearing things, etc., etc. Okay, long story short, we go, we set up all our stuff, we investigate. I've got uh, I've got a full spectrum movie camera, video camera in the front bedroom, and this is not the bedroom where they claim to have all the activity. The one next to it is the one that has all the activity.
Okay.
The other bedroom is so crammed full of stuff you couldn't do anything anyway. So we've got cameras out in the hallway,
Okay.
and we've got all our audio stuff set up and everything. So we do the majority of our investigation in the bedroom that's supposed to have so much activity.
Uh huh.
We get nothing.
Okay.
In the hallway, we get nothing. Downstairs, we get nothing. Outside of the house, where there's supposed to have been some activity, you had some quality show horses.
Mm hmm.
Nothing anywhere.
Let me guess. It was in the bedroom with everything in it.
The bedroom where nothing had ever happened. We go in there, the camera has been moved.
My
We're
God.
the, we're the only ones on the property.
So it's like, okay.
And like the bed was sitting when you walked into the door, you had the wall was maybe 2 inches from the door to the small bedroom, and the bed took up 3/4 of the room, and you barely had enough room for a very small chest of drawer.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the camera set up like 2 feet from the bed and another foot and a half from the door, and was pointed towards the bed where they said all the activity was.
Yeah, you're going along with what they're telling you
Right. So when I go in there, first thing I did when I opened the door, I almost knocked the camera over
because it's,
because
oh,
it is
wow.
moved that much and is pointed towards the wall, the opposite wall.
You know what? And now that you mentioned that, I want to tell you a story. I heard this because sometimes this was in, you know, that Art Bell had that show back in the '90s where people would call in.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
this one guy. He's telling the story. It is in Iowa. I think this was. He says he worked for Caterpillar, so he had bought this house. I can't remember what town it is in Iowa, but it's, I guess it's close to where the Caterpillar plant is or was. I'm not sure. But this was back in the '90s. Well, no,
Uh,
I take it back. When this occurred to him, this was back in the early '80s. He says he buys this house and he's moving stuff in. He puts a dresser, a 9 drawer dresser, in a room that was going to be his daughter's. He puts it up against the wall, goes to the kitchen, drinks some coffee to keep moving things up. All of a sudden, he goes back to the room to put something else in it. He can't open the door. Then all of a sudden, he's even thinking that his son is in the room holding the door. So he's like
uh-huh.
calling his son, and his son comes in from outside with a box. And he's like, what? Finally, he shoves it, and the dresser was up against the door. And an empty room, because it was like the first piece of furniture that the guy had put in there. Okay?
Oh, wow.
Then he does a follow up. He says he lived there like a little bit over 2 years, but then I think that something happened with the job. He moved elsewhere. But he says that in the '90s, he goes back to either goes back or he was passing through one of those things. Goes by, sees that the house is up for sale and it's got an open house with a realtor. So he stops. He stops, he pulls in, and he wants to find out like what's going on. Plus, he said, "Oh, I had done some certain things to the house. I wanted to see if it was still there." Goes in there, catches the realtor when there's nobody in the house, looking at it,
Yeah.
and he starts telling her, and she's like, "Don't tell me anything else because I've got to be here the rest of the time." But she kind of tells him that maybe in like the 12 or 15-year period, more or less, give or take, that since he had the house, it had changed hands like 7 times.
Wow.
Okay, and he said that it was similar to what you said, that it was about this room because he said his wife had told him, okay, after he told her, what, I'm not putting, our daughter's not going in there, but whatever was going on that was the room. It was that one room.
Uh-huh.
When you told me that thing about that, you try to opening the door of the room,
Yeah.
and you almost knocked the camera over. It was like, oh my God, it wasn't a dresser, but it's a camera. Like you said, who's gonna do this? We're all accounted for.
Yeah. I think I missed the tripod by maybe an inch.
Yeah, isn't that incredible? And those are the things that
Yeah.
it's like, how do you
Yeah.
like wrap your head about that? And did you capture anything on the film when you were there of at all from that room?
The camera being moved.
Oh, you got that.
Yeah. You
Oh,
you you actually see the camera when it moves and then slides right on over
oh my
and then
God.
points down. Just as if somebody had reached over and picked it up.
And picked it up and moved it.
Yeah.
God, that's excellent. Let me tell you something. Short of that's
Yeah.
and if
It's crazy.
I mean, from the paranormal investigator point of view, one thing is, of course, when you see the apparition, the full body apparition, or whatever, that's like, whoa, okay. But if you
Yeah,
think about it, you know how much force or how much power it takes to actually
yeah,
shift or move an object?
yeah. See, so we go right back to where we were talking a while ago about molecular structure.
Yes. How
So,
much power
yeah,
do you need to be able, if you don't have a corporeal body, in other words, suppose that, you're like, that's
hey,
it, all you are is spirit form.
you think about it. It's a 6 foot tripod, fully extended, with a camera that weighs 2.5 pounds.
Wow. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah.
That,
I mean,
that,
you've seen these spindly legged tripods.
mm-hmm.
Well, this is not like that. This is this is what I actually paid a lot of money for.
Well, even anything, I mean, when you stop and think about that, you're talking supposedly about a spirit
Yeah,
who should not be able to pull that off. As far as, oh, that's to me, that's, I want to
incredible.
say that's right on par with seeing a full, that takes a lot of, oh, I guess what the word I'm looking, I don't want to say power, but it takes a lot of manipulation on this plane to be able to do that.
Now, when I was photographing North Carolina shores, no, Appalachian Mountain folklore.
Yes.
There was we were down on the reservation, and I went to this one particular place where there's a phantom rider. Yeah, this particular place. The vast majority of the Cherokees will not go through there a certain time of night. You get there before or you get there after, but not during that period of time. They will not ride through there.
Really?
Anyway, so me and my assistant, we go down to where the place is, and we pull off on the side of the road, and you got like a river that runs close to there, maybe 20 yards away from the road.
Okay.
Yeah. So we get out of the car, go to the back of the vehicle, open up the trunk to get the gear to take the pictures. We looked around for a couple of minutes first, but then opened up the trunk, pulled out the camera. She is standing in front of me at the back of the car.
Okay.
Camera, I'm getting ready to set it, and take the lens cap off, all that stuff. I looked up. Now she's 6'1". I'm 5'9". At her shoulder, all of a sudden, a ball of light about 3 inches across
Okay.
comes up at her shoulder. Hesitates. I'm so surprised I couldn't even camera up.
Mm-hmm.
Shoots straight out to the center of the road, and then shoots up the road and the center at about a 35-degree angle, maybe 40 degrees upward.
Really?
Road. Well,
You must have been like, what?
both of us are stunned as hell. We're watching this for about 40 yards. Then it takes a 90-degree angle to the right up into the trees and disappears.
And what's the phenomena supposedly is seen? A rider, you said on there? Is that what
Yeah,
supposedly is a rider?
absolutely. Mm-hmm. Somebody that will ride with you, and
Oh. Oh
he
my.
does not leave that vehicle until he gets ready.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Really?
People can call me a liar all day long as far as that is concerned. But if you
Oh.
don't believe me, go to the Cherokee Reservation. I'll give you the names of the people to talk to, and they are highly respected.
And do they have any idea who this rider is?
Yes, they do.
Who is it?
I cannot tell you.
Oh, you.
I'm sorry.
It's
I,
okay. It's
I
okay.
can take that.
But how? Okay, let me ask something. How long has there been this belief of this rider? Is it? Are we talking modern?
It's not a belief. It's been happening since the late 1800s,
Okay, that's what I'm
about
talking.
1890.
Okay,
Now, Chief Henry,
all right.
when he was a little boy, him and his father were on a mule and cart.
Okay.
They had gone from the reservation to Silver to get flour and whatever, do a little trading. On the way back, they stopped in Maggie Valley, so they'd have to come down Soco Road. But anyway, they dawdled a little too long.
Oh,
His dad says, well, we're going to have to spend the night over here because we can't go home right now.
he was serious about that, huh?
Yeah, Chief Henry said, yeah, we need to go home. So, long story short, they decided to travel anyway. They got to the area. The next thing you know, the rider is with them. The rider went all the way home with them. Chief Henry said his dad never said a word. He didn't talk. Both of them saw it. You could smell it, see where it was sitting. And the next morning, when they went out to the cart, the mule was just quivering, and there was a wet spot where the person had been sitting.
Oh my God.
It always leaves a wet spot.
That must have been the longest ride for them.
He said it was kind of terrifying. Yeah. But he said his dad, warned him. He says, I told you. You know.
That's incredible. That is, see,
Yeah. Yeah. And
that's such a good story, and that's the kind of thing that, yeah. See, that people, it's like, do you really, like, in other words, there's no need. I don't want to experience it because I know it's true and forget it. I'd rather be one of the ones that have yet to experience it. I'm happy with that.
But now the thing about it is the identity of the writer.
Yes.
He is a direct descendant of people there on the reservation that is very respected. That's why.
Okay, and I understand.
Yeah.
Do they know? I mean, is he haunting in that way or that location because of something that happened to him
No, they
or
say he's looking for companionship.
okay.
That's what they say,
All right. Okay.
But they want no part of it.
And I think it's very normal that us as living, you know, incarnated beings, there's something that makes you when you're in the presence of something like that, especially that you need to get away. And that's why I think you have that across all cultures. You know,
Yeah,
they appease the dead in one of two ways. I know in some Native Americans they don't talk about the dead. Once you're dead, you're not allowed to bring up that person's name anymore. And then you've got, let's say, in the Far East where they have the ancestor worship, but even then they sometimes don't do it for many years until after the person's died. But every culture that I can think of, modern or they all they have ways of dealing with the dead because they're very they know what comes of having the dead attracted or hanging out with you too much,
yeah.
let's say at your home or things like that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people think when they get haunted, and you've experienced this too, if they have a haunting at their house, oh, well, nobody died here. I don't know why it's going on.
Oh.
Wait a minute. Did you go to a yard sale or did you buy an
Oh,
antique?
yes.
Did Aunt Sally leave you her shoes or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
And they find it hard to believe that you can become haunted that way. Or you're just or a entity has
Mm-hmm.
attached itself to you.
Yes.
You're the one that's haunted,
Yes.
and uh, the average person has a hard time with that, dealing with that.
Well, and I've had shows about this, Michael, where I've said, how that a lot of times either the garage sales, or, where people put things out on the curb.
Yep.
Sometimes it's because they don't want it. Sometimes it's because whoever had it passed away, like grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle. And I say, you have to be really careful. Pay attention to the vibes, no matter how wonderful it looks. Pay attention to the vibes because you have to be careful what you bring home with you. And I've heard of people having that experience. That's number one. And number two, I tell people exactly like when you say along those lines of, well, well, nobody's died here. I said, you know what? At some point, this was just land.
Yep.
Sometimes there's a price structure. Sometimes, how do you know somebody didn't kill somebody and decide to bury them out in that field where there was nothing out there
That's right.
50 or 60 years ago,
Yeah.
and nobody knows about it?
That's it. That's
There
very
you
true.
go.
Very true.
There you
Yeah.
go.
And another thing that I like is to be, say, if you travel here to Colorado, you're on vacation,
Mm-hmm.
have something unexpected happen, you know what's going on, and everybody else is going like, "I didn't see that. What was that? Never mind."
Oh, yeah.
But or take a picture somewhere. Oh, I got a good one for you.
Okay.
Uh, Massachusetts, the Witch's Wall. Now, at this particular time, on the other side of the wall, there was some construction going on. You still have the wall, but on the other side of the wall, there's some construction going on. There's a man standing there, and his briefcase is laying up on the wall. "Excuse me, sir. Could I get a picture of this wall here? Because I don't know if I'll ever get back here, and I'd like to have a picture of this wall." "Sure, no problem." He backs off, but he forgets his briefcase. Leaves there. Picture's taken anyway.
Okay.
Now, you get the picture back. As far as your digital, mind you,
Okay.
camera is concerned. In the picture, you see the witch's wall, you see the tree, you see the briefcase. There's a woman standing there,
Oh.
red velvet dress that reaches the ground. The dress is almost see-through, so
Okay.
you see the form of the body. The body is facing towards the construction. You can see the cheeks of her bottom,
Mm-hmm.
thighs, the whole deal.
Okay.
You have to do is look. Now, the head is kind of down,
Okay.
so the hair is covering 3/4 of the head.
Okay.
The face is facing you.
Oh.
So, in other words, the head is backwards from the body.
Oh my God.
Now,
Oh.
now the thing about this is, when the picture was taken, there was nobody there but the briefcase, the wall, the tree, and the construction stuff.
But it's not only that you captured an apparition, you've got an apparition which her head is like you said, it's
Really?
facing backwards. Waha.
Yeah, think about somebody, if they tilt their head down, dirty face, kind of a hawkish nose, and they're looking at you with a really dirty look.
Yes.
That's what it's like.
That's the stuff nightmares are made from.
I can send you a copy.
Yes.
See?
Yes, yes.
Would,
Send me a copy.
would you like it? Would you like an 8x10 glossy?
Let me tell you something. That stuff like that, it is, to me, it's, how can I say, when you, like you said, the picture was taken
Yeah.
not with the expectations of capturing anything. It was
No.
just, I want to take a picture of this wall.
One of the witch's wall.
And then you get that.
Yeah.
No, no ID. There was nothing attached to that place as far as sightings prior to that. See?
But what they say about the witches' wall is they say that there were some that were hung there, which
Okay.
I think there's no actual evidence of that.
Okay.
They People have said there was some buried close to there
Okay.
or beneath the wall. There's
Mm-hmm.
no evidence of that either.
Okay.
So why would this particular apparition, and especially the way it looks,
Mm-hmm.
be there? And when you see it, you'll see it is not a modern dress.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. And that dirty look, that speaks volumes. Anybody who has had encounters with intelligent hauntings
Uh-huh.
will tell you that a lot of them have that very malevolent look. They're human. I'm not talking anything demonic. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they
It's a
have that
it's a
that
look kind of like a cross between you have disturbed me, you irritated me, go away. You've made me come to where I don't want to be.
yeah,
It reminds you of that.
yes.
Uh,
You'll either have that or you'll have what I call the wide-eyed stare, no expression on the face, none.
yeah,
Okay, no blinking, like that
right.
no living person can do that. You can't. No the absence of expression. You you
I
know.
don't believe all of them's name is Mary either.
Oh no. I'm telling you. You yeah. Some of the things when after a while you come there's certain things that after a while, and I'm sure if you like you said you've captured or you've seen things, Michael, that you realize there's certain things that especially if they're close enough, because it sounds like you've been able to see apparitions close enough either with your eyes or the camera that you could actually see details,
Yeah,
that there's certain common denominators
yeah.
about them.
Well, pick, picture a man going down, feet on the ground, but hands on the ground. In other words, bent over. Correct? You know what
Oh
I'm
my.
talking about. He's bent over.
Okay.
Start at one end of your hallway and run down past the kitchen to the other end of the hallway.
This happened to you?
My wife experienced it. And then it wasn't but a few minutes later, when she was down the hallway, she looked in the other bedroom and she spotted the one we call Bertha laying across the bed.
The one that you call what?
Bertha?
Oh, Bertha. Bertha.
Yeah.
Bertha's across the bed. This is not your house. This is the house down in the
We
Carol
no, that was the house in Carolina
in the
that we
Carolinas.
yeah
What is with that? I would. Oh my God.
yeah
If I see
yeah
something like that, I'd think I'd go running out, and then I'd be like, okay, I gotta regroup.
yeah yeah. She just said, "Oh yeah." This house here, we've only been in it just a few months. I'm like a crap magnet, and when it comes to paranormal stuff, it
I was
just
gonna, yeah, see, that's why I asked you that earlier, as how many I wonder try to, and I'm gonna tell you this now, and I have to go back within the first. I want to say it had to be within the first 10 minutes that we were talking today. Somebody sighed in my ear, like, but from your end, and I'm thinking to myself because I was doing something, and I'm thinking he cannot be talking and sighing at the same time. You can't do that. And I want to say I got to go back. I'm going to have to go back and look at it, but it happened like within the first 10 minutes, I want to say, more or less, at the very beginning.
well, I have something here. I keep catching glimpses of it,
Okay.
and something comes to the end of the hallway here and shoots diagonally across the dining room.
Okay.
I still eventually it's going to let me know exactly what it's doing, but I've got a camera set up right
Okay.
now. I'm going to catch you.
I'll tell you what, this is not the first time that I've captured stuff while I'm interviewing. I had another gentleman I was talking to out of Southern California,
uh,
and we distinctly heard a cat meow, meow, like loud. I'm thinking it's him. He's thinking it's on my end. So later on, when I sent him thinking, I said, "This is up." I go, "Oh, by the way, your cat." And he goes, "I don't have a cat."
Do you have birds?
Yes, birds I do have, and they've been out there. And as the sun was going down, they make a lot of noise. I've
Yeah,
got birds.
I, I heard them begging for Starbucks a while ago. I didn't know.
Yeah, no, they and my cockatiel, he like decided to, oh, I gotta make a lot of noise, and he's right out my window, and oh yeah, no, but no,
That's a
but
good
when
one.
he told me that was like that, I'm saying I don't have cats. He didn't have cats, but it was so loud and distinct that I thought it was his cat that had come into the room and
Yeah,
meowed,
yeah,
and it was like, okay, we've, the mystery cat made an appearance, and there's no way this could have been captured on audio. I was like, okay, all right. So, yeah, there. I gotta go back on it in the first 10 minutes. I got it. I'm gotta go back but I remember hearing it in my ear, but like from hearing you on your end, like, and a part
yeah.
of me was like, he's this is a sigh, but he's talking, so he can't. It's not him. And I was like, okay, let's see what happens. I'll let you know if I get the clip. I will send it to you, Michael. It has been fantastic talking to you. Please send me that picture. Send me that picture,
Yeah.
please.
Do I have your email?
Marlene at miamighostchronicles.com.
Oh yeah, that's right. I do have it.
Send
I
it
do
to
have
me. I would
it.
love to see it. I'm putting a link to your website on the credits of the show. But for the podcast viewers, what's the website that people can go to?
MichaelRivers.com,
Okay.
and
And from
you
there they
can
can.
you can,
Also, I've been showing slides with the covers of some of your latest books.
right, yeah, and we've got some new ones that's getting ready to come out.
Okay.
Scratch will be one of them.
All right.
Scratch, you'll sleep with the lights on, I guarantee you.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, that's one of the curses of having a great imagination. It's
If any of your listeners want to ask me a question, uh, drop me a story of an experience that has happened to them.
okay.
Bring it. I'd love to hear it. Love to
Okay.
talk with
So they should
you.
just
Know,
go to your website, and from there they can just send you an email.
that's right.
Okay,
That's right.
perfect.
We,
I think I
I
think
love to hear from everybody. You know.
well, like I was saying, to me those are the most interesting and in some cases disturbing stories are the ones that people will tell you, you know what, like almost exactly like what you were telling me that you experienced as a kid in that house. It was like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And like you lived there, and so you dealt with it. Like, what else are you gonna do? And I'm telling
Yeah.
that guy coming over the roof that is, oh my God, that's something out of a horror story. I swear. Okay.
Yeah. I will tell you this as far as that was concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I was grown when that happened. The part with the rocking chair and stuff,
Okay.
I was small then. But when with the guy coming across the roof and all, I was probably 22, 23 years old.
Well, I guess maybe that's why you handled it as well as you did,
Yeah,
because you already you were already I want to say shock proof after witnessing and experiencing what you had there as a child up. But
yeah,
that's the kind of thing that'll take a few years off your life if you're not expecting it.
yeah.
It's
That's true.
telling you
That's
that is the stuff of nightmares. That really, really is. When you told me, "Oh, no, I went back to bed," I was like, oh my God, a paranormal investigator or not, I would have been like looking for the closest Best Western or something like that.
yeah. I've seen some places I wanted to get out quick, but generally, as a rule, you better come big or stay home because I'm going to hang with you. You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it all depends on where your mindset is at. Like I said, when you're on in the investigation mode, you're like prepared. Like I said, might get startled or something, but you're there. That's what you're there for. But when you're talking, especially when you're asleep, because that's happened to me, and you come out of sleep, okay, that is the moment where Yeah, things happen and you're like, "Oh my God." I mean, I've had situations like where I've had my feet grabbed and and it was a really unusual feeling I had going on with it. But I was so sleepy that I got up and I went to the another bed, and so I kind of understand what you're talking about. Like when you're sleeping, you're like, I want to sleep,
Yeah, yeah.
you
It's
know.
true. True.
But that thing of the man coming over a 10 foot, it's like, okay, forget, all right, okay, this is,
Yeah.
yeah,
So true.
no,
So true.
yeah, and that look, I want to have your liver with Chianti, no. Uh-uh.
No.
But anyway, Michael, thank you so much. It has been wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to speak to you and to listen to your stories. It has been excellent. Thank you so much for spending this time.
You're very welcome. You're
Take
very welcome. It was great talking with you too.
Likewise. Thank you so much, and hopefully we can talk again when your new book comes out. Okay.
We'll do it.
Take care. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.
Oh my God, I'm not kidding you. You think I am not kidding you? Can you imagine you wake up and you go to your window that's over a porch and you see something like that coming up? I don't know. I talk about seeing things that'll take years off your life. That's right up there. Um, like I say, paranormal investigator or not, and I've seen and witnessed a lot of things, but that right there, well, I'm sure you can all imagine it one way or the other, but I don't know. I love speaking to him because again, he's an author. He's got several books. Some of them are fiction, some of them are nonfiction. They're about ghosts. As you could tell, he grew up down by one of his latest ones was about Appalachian ghosts and the Carolinas, and now he's up in Chicago. And but what I like about him is he's a paranormal investigator. We were talking. He originally did his first investigation back in 1978. Like we were talking about, uh, back then it's not like now. Back then you had to develop film and the cost, and it's not like digital and none of this equipment. And yeah, I mean the paranormal field has come a long way, but at the same time it was so interesting when you hear all his stories and um, you know, in other words, you've seen this field develop good ways, bad ways, but and again, the most that I like about them, but those stories is what I like about mostly stories. This is not the place that everybody and their second cousin goes to because it's supposedly haunted. These are houses that they harbor some secrets in them that you just don't know what it is that happened there or on the land that's causing this phenomena to occur or is binding this spirit or spirits that they can't rest and that they're, I mean, talk about what he was going through when he was a kid and his family. Hey, when you live someplace, you live someplace. You deal with it. Wow. Anyway, guys, I hope you really enjoyed the show. I loved it. I thought Michael's, like I said before, is an excellent investigator, storyteller. I urge you to look at, like you saw some of the slides, I'm sure, go to his website, michaelrivers.com. Um, Please subscribe to my channel, like the show. If you don't catch me on YouTube, I put out a podcast version of the show in iTunes, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, all across. And again, I'm going to ask my true believers. I want to hear from you. I would love for you to um, either write to me about your story. You could tape yourself MP3, or if you want to go to my website, Marlene at Marlene MiamiGhostChronicles.com, just MiamiGhostChronicles.com, you're going to see that there's a link there on that face that will take you where we could set up a time that I can call you and I can either do like a Skype interview or on the phone, and you can tell me your story. It all has to be like 10 minutes. That's really what I'm looking for, like a 10-minute thing. Um, and get a hold of me and we'll set it up. Because, like I said, the best, most authentic, disturbing, singular stories are the ones that you hear from everyday people that things occur to them either once or, like in the case of Michael, where he lived all these years with all this phenomena going on and everybody witnessed it. So, whatever the case might be, please, my true believers, get a hold of me and we will set something up. But again, I want to thank you all so very, very much for listening, for viewing, and for being part of my audience. Take care.